Hello, it's your girl, Dr. Malaika, with the season 5 of Pivot with Dr. Malaika. Listen, I'm so excited to bring you conversations this season about navigating intentional or unexpected changes in your life, kind of bringing you on the winning side. And so I can't wait today to have this conversation with Mr. Zech McPhearson. Zach is a cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's going to share his story today, talk a little bit about his pivot experience. Now, check this out, y'all. This is the first male that we've had on the Pivot podcast. And so this is like historic. So I'm really looking forward to you hearing his story and you just learning about his experience and the things that he's going to share with you, the gems he's going to drop to help you navigate through your intentional or unexpected change. So welcome to Pivot with Dr. Malaika, Zech McPhearson.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to be on this podcast and looking forward to talking with you.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about you, Zach. I got it right. You're a cornerback, right, for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about Zach. Like, what do you want the people to know about who you are?
Well, off the field, I would say, Zach is one of 8 children. He grew up as the youngest boy, growing up. He really wasn't too into sports until later in his high school career. And he later on with sports attended Penn State University, finished up there, and then transferred to Texas Tech where he got his master's. So that's a little bit of insight on me and myself, and yeah.
Wow. So 8 children. Okay. And from what I've read, not only children, like not only sports is something that your siblings do, but this is a family thing. Sports is a family thing, correct?
Yep, that's what we embodied ourselves in was sports. Mom and dad said they weren't paying for college, so we had to find something that paid for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, when we think about the kinds of things that we do, especially with sports tends to bring highlights in our lives, celebrations, joys, milestones. We set goals and we accomplish, but they also bring some level of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we talk about intentional or unexpected changes in our life, talk a little bit about, some of the adversity that you've experienced through sports and how you really have navigated through that and come out on the winning side.
Well, I'll touch on something that was pretty recent, honestly, because I'm not gonna lie, earlier through my sports career, whether it was in high school or college, um, I don't want to say I didn't have any adversity, but it just
Mhm.
wasn't to this extent of this
Right.
past year. When I tore my Achilles,
Mm.
it was something I never really been injured before. So going into this last past season, I mean, it was a pretty promising year for me. And I was looking forward to participating with the team, winning a lot of football games and hopefully making it far into the playoffs and maybe back to the Super Bowl. But literally at the beginning of the season and preseason, I tore my Achilles towards the end of a game, and
Wow.
I was in shock. It was something I never experienced before, something I never thought would happen.
Hmm.
And, for a couple of days after the injury, I was just in a place where I was more so frustrated, because, like I said, I just felt like I was stripped of everything that I worked for.
Right.
Um, but what helped me to pivot, I would say, is it was probably from one person. Obviously, my family, they were there for me as well, but
Right.
Brandon Graham, he had the same injury as I did
Hmm.
in the prior year, and he was out for the season as well. But one thing he always told me was my perspective. Change my
Hmm.
perspective on it.
Hmm.
Yes, it sucks in the moment, but if you change your perspective and look at it in a way, it's like, man, like if this never happened, I would have never got this, or if this would have never happened, I would never
Right.
got that. I might not have gotten to that point yet where I can say, yeah, I haven't got to that point, but I know it's coming.
Right.
My thing is I can just focus on what's in the moment, focus on keeping it healthy every day and staying on top of things. And then maybe I'll come and have that realization of like, wow, like that never happened. I would never be right here.
So when you look back on that situation, can you see that you are definitely a different person than pre-injury? Do you think
Mhm.
it's really molded or changed something in who you are, your character?
100%. During earlier in that injury, I was just frustrated.
Right.
Just frustrated, just laying in bed all day. You can't move, just frustrated. You just felt, excuse my language, but like literally like handicapped. You're limited to doing everything, everyday life.
Mm,
So, I mean, I would definitely say now I'm in a better headspace. Going through that injury taught me, patience. That
yes.
was the biggest thing was patience because
Yes.
it was a long time being out for 8 to 10 months. So yeah, I had to just learn patience, train my mind, and things like that.
Do you pray? Do you have a spiritual foundation? Did that help you through as well?
100%. Yes, I do, and my mom stayed on top of me with that even to this day. But prayer is definitely something that helped me get through that injury, and
Hmm.
it still is today. You got to pray without ceasing. So
Yeah.
that's what my mom always told me.
Nice. And I guess being one of, now, did you say you were the youngest?
Youngest boy, I have a
Youngest
little,
boy.
yeah.
Okay. So how is that family rallying around you? Did that draw family in? Those kinds of things that happen to you? Seems like with a big family, you can count on family members to kind of, pull in a little bit, support there.
The support was really well. I don't think they expected something like this happening as well.
Hmm.
So they were coming up here, driving up. My parents spent about 2, 3 weeks with me in the first beginning phase where I really couldn't move. Brothers and sister coming up,
Beautiful.
grandparents, uncle, sending gifts up, care packages, you name it. But family definitely was something that, kept my mind off of that and just helped me to look forward.
Love it. So now you've experienced the injury, but now you're on the other side. Now
Mhm.
you're on the other side. So what would you say would be, as a result of the injury, as the result of this pivot, I'm on the other side. What are some good things that might have come out of this? I know you said you learned patience. What are some other things that you feel like were birthed out of you, probably because of you, maybe you've had time to think, maybe you've had time to just be creative. What would you say that there are things that came out, that were produced as a result of the adversity that you've experienced, which has allowed you to really be resilient and make impact?
Yeah, so I'll say two things. Going through this injury, it helped me to realize like not saying I didn't know who I was, but it
Mm,
helped me to really realize, what I'm made of.
wow.
Uh, and a lot of people, I mean, it was tough. And for me at times I thought I was like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to line up on that field again. As of 2 weeks ago, and rookie, I mean, and vet minicamp, I thought that to myself. I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to line up on this field again, play at a high level, because
Mm,
I just didn't feel like I needed to be where I was at. And but I would say this injury has really taught me, mental toughness, um, and it helped me to really train my mind to say, and I can do this. I will do this.
right,
I've already done it. I'll be able to do it again.
right.
I wasn't too. Worried in a place to where, it was like, I gotta quit, but more so once I get through this, my threshold will be higher. So
Yes.
that's definitely one thing that I feel like this injury has taught me a lot about myself, with
Hmm.
mental toughness, like I said it before, patience as well. The second thing it taught me was definitely off the field. What am I passionate about? And
Yes.
um, going into the conversation, I remember you said you want to touch on it was my nonprofit. It gave me
Yes.
some time, time with all this downtime to really figure out what I'm passionate about and how to make an impact with the platform that I have. So, that's really was a stimulus for me to get started on my nonprofit and move forward with that and, help this community.
I love that. You
Mhm.
know, we talk about, when we do motivational speaking, I've done some motivational speaking and I talk about having a seat at the table, right? So important to get the seat at the table. And I feel like with athletes, especially professional athletes across the board, it's almost like you have a seat at the table, you have the voice at the table, and
Mhm.
sometimes you're the center of the table. So you can have a greater impact on folks, who are around you and beyond. And
Right.
so, how have you been able to use your seat at the table, if you will, especially for your nonprofit organization, Catalyst for Change, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So Catalyst for Change, I said it earlier. I said it's like it's as I was reading about, it's like it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how having that seat on the table is great, but it really isn't great unless you can make a wider impact than just folks watching you on TV, and that's great, but that you have such a wider reach, and you want to put something in motion for
Right.
others to have that greater impact. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. So, with Catalyst for Change, like you said, it was my baby, still is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get this started, like I said, to maximize my outreach. And that's the seat at the table that I have. I see a lot of athletes, no shame on them, but you know, it would be so cool if they really understood how to maximize, their outreach and understand the impact that they can have on a community or a specific group of people.
Right.
So my nonprofit Catalyst for Change, I wanted to be a little bit different.
Okay.
Um, I wanted it to be a nonprofit that's not solely based on, one drive, whether it would be for breast cancer or
Hmm.
child or you name it. I wanted it to be a nonprofit where, we are very diverse in areas that we can want to help in. So,
Right.
'cause, there's a lot of needs within every community,
Right.
and I feel like, a person in my shoes, we can address multiple different needs, with the help of, sponsors or whatever it may be.
Right.
So, I got that started earlier in my injury process. It's been going really well so far. We had an amazing launch party. We had an amazing Christmas holiday party for the children.
Nice.
We've been doing things at different camps, different events, different
Hmm.
speaking events with Justin, going to visiting different schools. And it's just the beginning. So I'm really excited to have this up and running. We have a big camp upcoming next week
Okay.
uh, for high school teams. Me and my teammate, we kind of host it every year, but Catalyst for Change is sponsoring it. And we're going to help some of these kids, who don't have the right, whether it may be equipment or cleats or protective gear to
Right.
play, sports this upcoming season. So it's just beginning. And I'm so excited to have it started. And, I feel like it's a part of me, it's part of my duty to help this
Hmm.
community.
Is helping the community, just it feels just as good as getting on the field. It just seems like you talk about it easily, and you've got such a wide vision, and it's comfortable. Some people, they do this and it's a part of, they know it's kind of a part of what they need to do, but this
Mhm.
sounds like something you enjoy. So is it just as exciting to give and to impact kids as it is
Mhm.
to jump on the field?
100%. That's what I grew up on. My mom, she hosted events at the church, growing up year round, and we were always a part of it. Her and her 8 kids, we were her helping hands on deck. Uh, I enjoy stuff doing things like that.
I
Putting
love it.
smiles on people's faces, young or old. You can always put a smile on somebody's face. That's free of
Right.
charge. So, I just feel like it's something that needs to be done.
Right. I love that. I love that. I see that you're from Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have family who teach at Dr. Henry A. Wise High School in Upper Marlboro.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's where my parents live in Upper Marlboro now. We grew up right outside of Baltimore, but now they live in Upper Marlboro, right by the Six Flags.
Wow. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So so when I saw that, and then I saw, is it Riverdale High School?
yeah, Riverdale Baptist is like 15
Baptist.
minutes from Wise. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had some interactions. We can talk about that later, but I just thought
Okay.
when I saw that and I saw Upper Marlboro, I thought, wait, that's where my auntie. She's a
Mhm.
teacher at Henry A. Wise High School, and
Yeah.
so shout out to her, Alexis.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been there. I've seen some things, been able to do some things there. So when I saw that, I'm like, not many people mention Upper Marlboro, but when they do, it's like because it's so close, right?
Yeah.
You
Very
kind of
close knit.
know.
If you know,
Yes.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so do you get back home to be able to give as well? Does Catalyst for Change extend there? How do you identify the needs that Catalyst for Change will partner with? How do you identify them?
Well, definitely. I wanted to do a big harvest fest back at home at Riverdale Baptist
Okay.
School. And I was going to partner with some of the former athletes that are currently in the NFL as well that,
Hmm.
came out there with me. But that kind of put on hold for a minute because obviously the injury and I've been
Right.
on the road doing different rehabs in different places. So I haven't really been able to put all my energy in towards that. So
Okay.
I'm probably gonna move that event to just a different day or a different date, maybe during the
Okay.
bye week or something. I'll able to get because I want to be there. I don't
Right.
want to post something and put my the catalyst for change on it and
And then you're
have
not there.
and they're not there. I would love to be in a part of those events. Having fun,
Yes.
fellowshipping with one another. That's a big thing. So.
Yes. Sound like you were a church baby, Zach.
Yeah, that's what I grew up in church. Yeah.
Sound
Oh,
like you know a little something about that, about because I just when I hear you saying your mom playing things and y'all be the 8 kids there helping, I know
yeah.
what that's like because
Mhm.
I just have two, but I know um
Yeah.
just like come on, let's go. I need you to move this table. I need you,
We
you
were
know.
there from like 8 a.m. and we left around like 4 p.m. We was there all day.
No. But you know what? What happens is when you get older, you don't leave that. Like it's
Yeah.
familiar, it's a part of you, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Only time we was home was for dinner. So yeah.
And then what church did you go to? Did you go to Riverdale?
Yeah. First ever Solid Baptist Church. It's in Baltimore.
Okay, okay. Gotcha. Wow. So this is fantastic. The work that you're doing is great, and it sounds like there's so much more that you want to do. What do you see for yourself down the line? And it could be centered around football, but it also, what do you see for Catalyst for Change? What do you see for Zach McPhearson? And how, where, in the next 5 to 10 years, what can we see from you?
Um, Obviously I want to finish up my football career.
Okay.
My goal is to do 10 years in NFL minimum.
Hmm.
So, that's something I've been chasing and still am chasing.
Good.
Um, Prior to sports, I mean, Catalyst for Change is something I really like actually love. I see all these other nonprofits and they're doing very, very well. Some that I even partner with. And
Right.
they do it full time and they do a great job at what they do.
Hmm.
Uh, and just meeting new people, helping out in the community, traveling, doing missions trips. I love doing stuff like that. And so,
Yeah.
it's just like why not? Why don't you want to help others other than yourself? So
Right.
I would love to do that, but I mean, obviously, if that has to be like a thing I do in addition to
Right.
what getting a job and going into the real world, which I would also love to do and pursue a career. I still, I think it's a win-win.
Right. So, what are some of those gifts and talents that you have that we don't know anything about, right? We see you on the football field, that's it. But what are some things that you do and people would be shocked that you know how to do and do it well?
Um, hmm. I mean, probably if you put a trombone, I don't have one. If you bring me a trombone, I probably can play you a few songs.
Really?
Yeah, I used to play trombone till ninth grade.
Okay.
Um, so that's a talent most people don't know I have. And other than that,
Can you sing?
I wish that's a gift. If I could sing, I wouldn't be playing football.
Wow, really?
That's a gift. Like anybody who can sing, I think you're so blessed. Like
Oh,
that's
okay.
can you?
Yeah. Yeah, I sing on my praise team.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's a gift I really wish I had.
But you
Uh,
still have that musical gift though with the trombone.
true, true.
Yeah.
But
You,
nothing like using your voice.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But other than that, some skills, I probably say that's about it. I mean, I got some hobbies I do uh,
Okay.
aside of that football that I really like and have fun with.
Cool. Cool. So when you think about adversity, what would you say are about three things that you would tell maybe somebody's watching and doesn't have to it male, men, women, whatever, whoever's watching, whatever, because this we're definitely going to make sure we get our athletes to watch it, our young athletes. But what advice would you give them? As they are, I'll give you two things. One, someone who's been injured, dealing with that kind of adversity, what three things would you tell them to do right now in this moment?
First, I'll say the biggest thing is this probably with any situation you go through in life, any type of obstacle. I
Hmm.
would say you first got to evaluate the situation.
Right.
When you sit back and really give yourself time to think on it and evaluate on it, you get clarity, you get realization that, it might not be as bad as it may seem.
Hmm.
And, you might find hope in that. You might find hope that it could always be worse. So,
Right.
I would definitely say the first big thing is to evaluate each situation, understand what you're in and where your
Okay.
feet are. And then I'll think the second thing I'll probably say is your perspective on it. Your mind's a powerful thing, and
Mm,
something I always believe in is how powerful the human mind is.
right.
Your perspective on every situation in life can. I believe every situation is neutral. It's no good or bad. It's what you make it.
Okay.
So as if you go into a situation like for me example, and I'm like, man, I'm just all down about it, and my mind is like, I can't do this. Like I would never be able to do this. I
Right.
ruined this. Um, Naturally, I made that situation a negative situation.
Okay.
Or rather, if I went into it and it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll go in a situation, maybe this situation will teach me a lot about myself.
Hmm.
It'll help me work on something I need to work on, which was being patient, which I was terrible at. So
Right.
I go into it with a perspective and a motive and something that I'm gonna gain from it rather than what I'm missing out on.
Right.
I mean, it'll change it'll put you in a better headspace, honestly.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I know you have a third one, but I like something you said, you know, paraphrasing, like your situations are neutral, right? Is
Mhm.
that um, they're neither good or bad, it's what you make it. But I like
Mhm.
that they're neutral. Like when you think of it, I'm thinking something happens to me that is framed as a bad thing in my mind to now unlearn that perspective and now learn it's neutral, right? It's
Neutral.
neutral. So now I have the power to make it what I want it to be for me. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's
That's
that's what
good.
it is. Yep,
That's preaching, right? That's good stuff right there. Woo, that's good.
yeah, so when I first got injured, I have a buddy, he actually went to school, with my brother that went to IUP.
Okay.
Good family friend, great kid. He got caught in a bad situation. Well, I don't want to say a bad situation. He got caught in a situation,
Right.
and, he served some jail time for it.
Okay.
And he's still in jail to this day. So when I first got injured, he was the first person I got a letter from jail, and he told me that he was like, in every situation, it's always neutral. It's what you make it. Um, it's neither good or bad, but your mind will lead it into that direction of whether you think it's a good situation or it's a bad situation. And so when he told me that, I have the letter right here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that changed my whole
Changed
perspective.
everything.
I changed everything. I was like, wow, like he's in jail, and this is his mindset of him serving his sentence. So I was like, wow, that's some good insight that I have, and I'm applying it to my everyday life.
Well, may I borrow that?
I have it. I have it.
I'm
What is
telling
that?
you, that's so good because I really think, especially, I think this generation, I look and I believe that they fail to recognize the power of the mind. Yes, we have the power when we do things, we use our physical strength, but sometimes you don't even have to do anything. It's what you think that has power because that's going to trickle down to how you act and how you, again,
It's
respond.
crazy. The mind's so powerful. I think of it every day. The mind's very powerful. It makes me think like sometimes I don't know if you ever knew somebody who, one thing I notice it in is just like when people get ill or something, and
Hmm.
at first, they might have this illness for a while and it's
Hmm.
unknown, but, they're fine. Like
Right.
we see. Like, but then once they get diagnosed with it and, they're either bedridden or they get into the hospital, it's like it hits a hard left turn. It's like
Right.
I noticed that with some of my family. I'm like, you were at the cookhouse, I see you was fine for all
Right.
these months and years, like, and then you get diagnosed, and it's like you took a hard left turn. It's like I always wonder why is that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it's just the mental part of it, but I believe a big part is like once they realize, like, man, it's like I have what? Oh, my life has changed, and then
Right.
it's a snowball effect, and then things start to go downhill. But I always believe it's the mind that does it, a big toll in that. It plays, and it's hard to control. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody, I wake up
Right.
some, I can't control my thoughts,
Right.
but I believe the mind plays a big part in everything.
There's a scripture that says, as a man thinketh, so
Mm-hmm.
is he.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we think of ourselves, what we think about a situation, what we think about others, it really is crucial. And, when if you really spend like 3 minutes thinking about how angry you are at somebody, it starts to like you can feel it in your physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, there's
You
power. There's
you got
power in our thoughts.
captivate up things and let it go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That probably takes care of the third one, but if you have a third one, that's fine.
Yeah, third one is probably what I probably would say is uh probably just motivate yourself.
Hmm.
Look at it as it'll make you stronger.
Hmm.
Find something positive in it. And I'm not saying all these things that sound cliche, but they really help, and they help me in multiple situations in life.
Yeah.
You just gotta motivate yourself, dig in deep. Like I said, find who you're made of. You'll find a pot of gold in there somewhere.
Yeah. Adversity will definitely show you what you're made of.
Yeah,
Um, how
100%.
resilient you really are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'm trying to think of how folks can reach you. I know on Instagram you're at ZMac8, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
folks could, if they want to check you out, they can follow
yeah.
you. And then Catalyst for Change has its own page also.
Yeah, I need to put that in my bio. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, it's just catalyst, the number four, and then change.
And
And
change.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
hmm
And there's a website, there's an Instagram page. Most people will jump on, Instagram and kind of check out some of the quick things. But there's so
Yeah.
much good work coming out of what you're doing. And so okay, I have to know, we have to ask for the people because we're heading into the season. What can we expect from the Eagles this season? What can we expect? I got my Eagle
Yeah.
green on. What we gonna see this season?
I think it's gonna be a turnaround year. Not saying we came off a terrible season. I mean, we had a winning record, but it's not the season we wanted,
Okay.
compared to that season prior, which was a Super Bowl year.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna expect a lot of big things. We got a lot of nice new pieces on the offensive side of the ball, from coaches to players, and as well
Okay.
as the defensive side of the ball. It's gonna be a fun year. I can't wait. Especially to start the year off in a game in Brazil.
Nice.
That's gonna be really cool. So we know we got the support of all the fans, and we're looking forward to this year. It's gonna be fun.
Good. And you will be playing. You're okay, good.
Yeah, I'll be cleared. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the field.
Good. And Brazil is preseason, or is that like that's
That's the first game of the
in
year.
first game of the year? Oh,
Yeah,
in Brazil.
yeah, versus Green Bay.
Wow, it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's gonna
Nice,
be fun. Yeah,
nice.
can't wait.
Wow. Well, I just want to thank you, Zach McPhearson, for just joining us for Pivot with Dr. Malika. We are so happy to be able to have this conversation with you and to talk with you about your experience, the adversity that you've experienced, but how you have come out on the winning side. And so we want to be able to catch you. We're going to catch you on the field this season, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And don't forget to follow him at ZMac8 on Instagram and check out his nonprofit, Catalyst for Change, Catalyst, the number for change on
Mhm.
Instagram. And I don't want to say the website, and is it catalystforchange.com?
Yep, catalystforchangeinc.com. Yeah.
Inc.com. Yes.
Yeah.
So check it out, y'all. Check out what he's doing. You know, we it's nice to get up close and personal with someone who's a professional athlete, but we only get to see them out on the field, right? We get to yell at the screen, we get to yell at what they do or didn't do as if we know them. But when you're able to have this conversation and see the great work that they're doing outside of the uniform, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. So we're going to see you so much differently, right? I'm looking for you so much differently and so excited for your success. And so we just speak blessings over your season and blessings over your healing process and blessings over your nonprofit. And thank you so much for
Definitely.
joining us on Pivot with Dr. Malaika.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited to get on this podcast with you, and I'm glad I got to meet you and chat with
Yeah, thank
you. Yeah,
you. We'll have to do it again, right?
100%.
Listen,
We'll do it again.
if
Episode
you,
2.
yeah, listen, if you win, promise me, if you win the Super Bowl, you'll come back.
You got my word. I'll be back.
Okay, awesome.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you so much.